All right, awesome. So I will call the May 26th meeting of Old Colony Planning Council to order. I'm going to read the accessibility statement first. This meeting is accessible to people with disabilities. Microphones or telephones will be used by all speakers. Large print materials are available upon request. If you would like either of these accommodations, please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 extension 202. The Notice of Non-Discrimination Rights and Protections to Beneficiaries with regard to Federal Title VI Non-Discrimination Protections and the State Non-Discrimination Protections is posted in this meeting room and is available on the Old Colony Planning Council website. Please contact Mary Waldron at 508-583-1833 extension 202 for more information. All right, so Sandra or Mary, did you want to do roll call?
I'm going to do roll call. Sandra Wright is unfortunately unable.
Beautiful. Okay.
Stephen Santusonio from Abington.
Present delegate.
Frank Staffier from Avon.
Present delegate.
From Brockton, Preston Huckabee. Duxbury, Valerie Massard. East Bridgewater, Peter Spagone.
Present delegate.
From Easton, Jean Marie Kent Joyce.
Present delegate.
From Kingston, we have Paul Basner, alternate.
Present.
From Pembroke, Becky Coletta. From Plymouth, Lee Hartman. I know you're on, Lee.
Present delegate.
From Plimpton, Christine Joy.
Present delegate.
From Stoughton, Douglas Silvestri.
Delegate.
West Bridgewater, Eldon Marrera.
Yep, present.
From Whitman, Fred Gilmetti.
Delegate.
And for everyone else on this, just because it's going to be helpful for me when I do the minutes, we have some, first of all, I'd like to have staff. We have Charlie Kilmer, we have Connie Fuginetti, we have Maddie Curtis, we have I know Joanne Zigman, we have Bill McNulty, and I think that's all we have for staff. And then we do have some guests from Plymouth. Cheryl, and if I could have you just introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Heller. I'm on the Plymouth Open Space Committee. Thanks for having us tonight.
Thank you. Is there anybody? Oh, Patrick Farah. Thank you.
Oh, good evening, everybody. My name is Patrick Farah, for the record, planning staff and also technical support to the Open Space Committee. Thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you, Patrick. And
Beautiful.
Diane.
Welcome. Okay, so it sounds like we got a full house and we got a full agenda. So let's get right to it. All right, so the minutes of April 28th, 2021, they were in the packet. Did everyone get a chance to read them? Any questions or concerns on the minutes from April 28th?
Make a motion, Madam Chairman, that we accept those minutes of April 28th.
I'll second it. Eldon Marrera.
Beautiful. So a motion, Frank, second, Eldon. Can we do a roll call vote, Mary, for acceptance of the minutes?
Abington.
Accept.
Avon.
Accept.
Brockton, I do not see. Duxbury, do not see. East Bridgewater.
Yep.
Easton.
Accept.
Kingston.
Since I didn't attend, can I still vote?
Sure.
Sure. There you go. Someone said sure. So go ahead.
I move to accept, yep.
Pembroke.
Accept.
Plymouth.
Accept.
Plimpton.
Accept.
Stoughton.
Accept.
West Bridgewater.
Accept.
And Whitman. And Madam
Beautiful.
President, I think this is where we're going to take some items out of order.
So Mary, at this point, we're going to move to 7. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, very good. All right, so I'll turn things over to you, Mary.
Thank you very much. And as many of the members of the council have heard over the last, I would say, almost a year, we've been contemplating a new logo. And the two women that I'd like to bring to the forefront, it really has been a team effort, but man, excuse me, women, these two women have just been incredible. Joanne Zigman and Maddie Curtis. They all have different jobs to do, and on top of that, they've taken on the logo change. And we do have a little presentation, but before I do, Joanne or Maddie, do either one of you want to tee this up?
No, I think you should go right into it, Mary.
Great. Okay, ready?
Resilient.
Equitable.
Sustainable.
Connected.
Responsive. Collaborative.
Well done.
So my understanding, I guess it was skipping a little bit, but with that, Joanne and Maddie, they do have a follow-up. It was first thought that the council should see it before it gets released. And tomorrow there'll be a newsletter that's going to hit the ground running, and all of you are on it, and you'll be able to see it in live. And we ask you to share that with your network. I'm very proud. It's almost like emotional. It's like this is their baby, and having them work on this and taking this this organization to a level where we are new, we're here, we're changing things, we're being responsive, we're being engaged, and that video really truly epitomizes what's been done. But again, to Joanne and Maddie, thank you for your hard work on this. And I know, Madam President, you were engaged and involved with a lot of we kept you in tuned and the council in tuned on this. And we thank the council for their support. So with that, Joanne, just a couple minutes to say anything?
No, Maddie, I think you wanted to just say a little bit about kind of next steps and where we go from here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as many it's been a very long process. So we're excited that we have gotten to this point. We kind of toggled around a few different ideas of how we were going to present the logo. Originally we kind of just thought, oh, let's just put it in the newsletter and let everyone see it there. And then, I was discussing with Joanne, Mary, and Charlie. I was like, I feel like we need like a unique way to get this out. So that's when the idea for a video came about. And, we had, all the staff involved, but it's been a really great process to work with everyone, have everyone be engaged in the staff. Shout out to Mary for being awesome as always. And moving forward, we're going to work on, starting to rebrand things and, getting Ocpc's logo in line with, the standards that we hold ourselves to.
Thank you,
And
Maddie.
a big part of that is going to be the new website, which has taken longer than expected because there's quite a lot of content to move on to there from our current website. But we're getting there, and that's going to be the next big thing.
Thank you, Joanne, and thank you, Maddie. Madam President, with that, I turn things back to you. I know we're going to be taking another item out of order.
All right. Thank you, Maddie and Joanne. Yeah, everybody who worked so hard on that. You really, really nice job. Really great reflection of what we do and now and in the future. So thank you so much for all of that. All right, so now we're going to move on to item 10, which is the presentation from Plymouth Open Space Committee. So Lee, can I turn things over to you?
Sure, thank you very much. So I'd like to take full credit for this, but I really had very little to do with it. Patrick Farrer from my office works very closely with the Open Space Committee, and Diane and Charles are here from the Open Space Committee. And again, I thought this was good for the council to see because I don't think many communities have done this yet, especially within an open space plan. So I just thought it would be a valuable presentation to see something a little different than what you see in a traditional open space plan. So with that, I'll turn it over to Diane.
Right. Hello, everyone. I'm Diane Peck. I'm the chair of the Open Space Committee for the town of Plymouth. And I'm here with my fellow committee members, Patrick and Charles. Charles was the principal author of the subcommittee that put this together. So we're here to explain a proposed addendum to the Plymouth Open Space Plan. The goal is to enhance resiliency to climate disruption. The idea is that we are expecting weather extremes, and we need to be able to absorb the blows from these weather extremes in order to minimize damage to infrastructure, to natural infrastructure like beaches and marshes, and to man-made infrastructure like roads and houses. We need to predict what might happen, and we need to develop action steps to take in advance. The subcommittee developed a matrix in working all of this out, and it's a tool to evaluate how certain strategies, certain action steps can best meet the objectives or the goals. Like, for example, if we're trying to encourage solar energy, we would encourage that there are various bylaws in some of the homeowners associations which forbid people from putting solar panels on their roofs. So we would try to discourage rules like that. So the matrix is a tool to evaluate how we can best meet the objectives. In other words, what will give us the biggest bang for the buck. Another example might be, for example, parking. We were listening on one meeting where they were debating, should we have these 2 extra parking spaces or 2 fewer parking spaces? And because we encourage the minimal use of surfaces that do not allow rainwater to percolate down, they could have, had they had this in mind, they could have that could have tilted the decision that they might have made. So that's the idea, and I would like to turn it over to Charles or Patrick. Did you want to talk?
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you all.
So just to provide a little context with regard to this addendum, as many or all of you know, every 7 years, communities have to provide an open space and recreation plan, and that'll, with having an adopted and endorsed plan through the state, allows for grants for different land acquisitions and different things like that. So when the Open Space Committee was finalizing the Open Space and Recreation Plan for 2017, there was discussion that had come up at one of the meetings, actually several of the meetings, that was questioning, why are we not talking about, or why is this document not speaking to or addressing climate change and the effects of climate change, and what can open space do, protected open space do, to help mitigate some of the effects. So I reached out to the state and gave them this idea, and it appears that there are a couple of communities that have incorporated some language in their open space and recreation plans. Now, when I say some language, some of the towns have a paragraph, maybe a page or something. Plymouth, and I must say that I'm very proud and happy to be involved with this process. We took a more in-depth look at this, and we've come up with a very comprehensive plan. And this document, I'm not sure if anyone on the OCPC has reviewed it yet, but please do at your leisure. It does address many of these issues, and also comes up, it provides strategies, it comes up with some solutions. So it's not all doom and gloom. It's like, what can we do to actually make things better? So what we're looking for, what the Open Space Committee is looking for, is to have the OCPC review the plan and provide some feedback, if any suggestions, if you see something that needs to be corrected, or any ideas that maybe somehow were missed, and comment on it so that we can review it, go bring it back to the committee, review those comments, and amend the document as needed. So that's tonight. Charles will be providing the actual presentation of where we went, how we got here, and without further ado, I'll hand it over to Charlotte. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. I think Diane and Patrick pretty much gave my presentation for me. Mary, I have never had someone else running my presentation. Do I have control?
You don't, but just tell me next. That's all. We'll keep moving.
Okay, well, as Patrick mentioned, while the Open Space Committee was creating the update to the Open Space and Recreation Plan, we started to say we're missing one of the most important elements facing our community, which is the fact that we're a coastal community and climate change is a reality. So why aren't we addressing that in the open space plan? And Patrick, I believe, said, why don't we just complete this plan because we need to get it done in a certain amount of time, and rather than just rushing through the climate section, why don't we submit the open space and rec plan and then really take our time to create a climate addendum that we could add later. And the state approved that. And so it took us a couple of years. We thought it would take a few months. And so this whole idea came out of the need to address those potential impacts of climate change before the next mandated update in 2024. Thank you, you got that right. So the addendum examines the relationships between open space objectives in climate change resiliency and the strategies to fulfill those objectives. It offers recommendations for strengthening the resilience and adaptability of the town in the face of climate change. And it provides a matrix used to rank the effectiveness of specific strategies to address climate change resilience objectives. So I'm sure everyone on this call knows what the anticipated effects of climate change are. They're warming temperatures, periods of extreme temperatures, both high and low, less snow in the winter and more rain, shifts in precipitation, that is periods of flooding interspersed with periods of drought, increased storm intensity, and of course, sea level rise.
And it's a beautiful picture to go along with this.
So our committee examined the impacts of climate change relevant to open space and organized those into three major categories: health and safety, quality of life, and economic security. This, I'm giving you just one slide there, but this is a 20-page report gathering information we could find on those three major headings. But then we ended up next identifying 24 climate action objectives within the categories of health and human safety, economic impacts, quality of life, and climate change mitigation. Then we identified what we thought would be 32 feasible strategies to fulfill the objectives under the general categories of land acquisition and protection, management of land, regulation, and then a catch-all category for other. As Diane mentioned, we compiled this matrix. As you can see, the objectives, I know this is hard for you to see, it's very tiny. If you have a copy of our addendum, this, you could actually read this, but the left-hand column in yellow is that list of 24 objectives, and across the top are those 32 strategies. And then what we did is scored the intersections of the objectives with those strategies. And where we felt that there was no impact or no benefit, we left those intersections blank. Where we thought there was some value in those objectives and strategies, we scored a 1. And where we thought it was very likely to have a positive impact of strategies meeting objectives, then those were scored a 2. And of course, that is somewhat subjective, but it was very useful in thinking and looking at these different strategies for prioritizing action items. Now, if you go down those columns and add up the scores of different strategies, you can rank those strategies. Thank you for moving that cursor, and see what their impact might be. And the other helpful tool is to go across the matrix and look at what strategies can help you meet objectives, because there's more than, in many cases, multiple strategies to meet objectives. And so we,
Sorry.
you know, we scored, no, that's fine. We can move on. So when we looked at those scores, we came up with, wanted to just point out the top 6 recommendations based on those scores. So number 1, which was a little bit surprising to us, is creating a strong education initiative to encourage specific actions for all projects designed to meet resiliency objectives. Education came out in meeting every single objective. That's why it scored the highest. And number 2, acquire and protect forested parcels, freshwater wetlands, coastal features, and land within aquifer protection zones. Those were all separate strategies, but they all scored an equally high value, either within 1 or 2 points of each other. So we just put those all in number 2 as being the most important thing you can strategy for mitigating climate. Number 3 is encourage conservation restrictions for proposed developments. Number 4, pass regulations to minimize the number of new residential units. Number 5, acquire and protect lands for sustainable initiatives. And the final top one, number 6, limit clear cutting for development. So those are you know, we meant this matrix to be useful for different committees within our town to kind of think about climate and prioritize action. And now the reason we've come to you and to committees in Plymouth is that part of our approval process for including the addendum is to ask for your review of our addendum and to please suggest changes. If you see an area where we're maybe left something out or didn't consider something that you think is important, we would really like to know. And then the Open Space Committee will incorporate those changes. Once we have your suggestions and make those changes, we will ask you to review it again to make sure that we understood what you were asking us to do. And then we would ask you to issue a letter of approval. And then the Open Space Committee will send the addendum and the approval letters from all of the different boards and Old Colony to the Mass Department of Conservation Services for inclusion into the current Plymouth Open Space and Rec Plan. So.
Cheryl, that is terrific. And to you and Patrick and Diane, I know that there may be some questions from the council members. I will share this PowerPoint by way of an email with the members, but I will also have Lori Muncie and Elijah Romulus and other staff from the community planning and economic development side to take a further review of the proposal.
And yes, and please send them the link to the addendum, which is on the Open Space Committee webpage for the town of Plymouth, if you don't have it already.
Cheryl, if people have questions on the plan, should they direct them to Lee to forward to you folks, or?
Yeah, Mary can send them or to Mary or to myself, and then yes, we'll
Beautiful.
get off.
No, it looks like a really nice document. I'm very interested in seeing particularly the matrix. Really a lot of time and excellent thought into that plan. It looks like a really solid document.
Thank you.
So do we have any questions, or do we want to think about it? And if you have questions, you can direct them to either Lee or Mary, and he can reach out to the Plymouth Open Space Committee.
That'd
Okay,
be great. I'll make sure I'll send that out to everyone, Madam President.
awesome. Thank you very much. All right, thank you so much for that nice presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, and thanks for attending. All right, so let's get back to the agenda. We'll go to number 4, and Brenda, how about the financial report for April?
Okay, we're going to start with the statement of expenditures report showing a total expenses for the month of $143,996.74. In our cash position report, we show an income for the month of $228,490.26. Disbursements for the month were $244,718.99. The total cash available at month's end was $1,508,201.20. Our OPEB account had a gain of $25,841.78, bringing the ending balance in the OPEB account to $857,299.98.
Brenda, if I could just have you stop for 1 second, it might be a scribber's error, but on the disbursements we have on this 244,718.79, not 99.
Oh, okay. Sorry. I must have just read it wrong, I guess. Sorry. Okay, budget resources report. Total receipts for the month were $228,490.26. This brings our total cumulative receipts for this fiscal year to $2,990,512.26. Moving on to the AAA report. No change in pass-through billings from last month, but payments received from those prior billings increased by $66,122.37. Pass-through total cumulative billings remain at $203,201. Remaining fund balances stay at a total of $2,327,172. The middle graph for the Ombudsman and admin funds shows total cumulative billings at $34,353, bringing the remaining grant balances in admin and Ombudsman to a total of $373,850. Moving on to the Rom April 2021 statement. The balance at the beginning of April was $179,209.36. April receipts were $5,850, bringing the total ROM FY21 receipts to $58,500. April expenses were $6,166.45, bringing the total ROM expenses FY21 to $66,445.85. The ending balance in the ROM bank account in April was $177,531.92. Moving on to our budget report. Our total total expenditures through the end of April is a total of $1,451,793. Our percentage spent to date is at 70.91%. The ideal for the 10th month of our fiscal year would be 83.3%. So we continue to be in excellent shape. And that's the end of the financial report.
May I ask a question?
Certainly.
Yeah. Mhm.
There is, I know that the next meeting will be the end of the fiscal year.
Yep.
And if we would like to make a little addendum to some line items, will we be able to do it at that meeting in the 30th of June?
Madam President, if I could, in terms of the process, will be that the Finance Committee will be holding a meeting in June. All council members will be invited to that. And
Okay.
yes, for the final, for the council meeting in June, there's always that opportunity to add amendments. The hope is that the dialogue and communication through the Finance Committee.
Mary, I don't mean to cause a delay, but there is one line item that I do want to change. I want to ask for more money in that account, and I'll tell you at that June meeting why. Alrighty, is that okay?
That is fine. You are a delegate and you have that authority. So thank you, Mr. Delegate from Avon.
Thank you very much. Thank
Mary,
you.
Mary and Christine, if I could, it might be worth it for him to just directly contact the chair of the Finance Committee in advance, so we have some thought of that too. So
Yes.
that would be my recommendation. So
Thank you.
maybe if you want to talk to Frank about that, Marion, so you can have that in advance and not just try to do it on the fly. Thank you.
I would be glad to do that. Who's the chair of the finance?
That is
Doug.
Doug. He's sitting across from you.
I'll talk to. I'll
That's-
talk to Doug. I will talk to Douglas as soon as this meeting's over. Okay.
So that's the first acclaim, is that with being in office is that we get to see people in person, and so thank you.
My
And
advice,
I would like to make a motion that we accept the financial report as read.
I'll second the motion, Alden.
All right. Any questions or concerns from anyone? Questions for Brenda? Okay, hearing none. We have a motion from Frank and a second from Eldon to accept the financial report from April. Mary, can we do a quick roll call to accept
Yes.
the report?
Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Brockton, is Preston on? Duxbury, East Bridgewater,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Kingston,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Plymouth,
accept, and excellent job, Brenda.
Thank you.
Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
West Bridgewater,
Accept.
Whitman, and I know the alternate Dan Selvucci.
Alternate, yes, alternate accepts.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Beautiful.
I
And-
just
All right.
got over my Selchovo Tech meeting and I joined it.
Thank you.
Go
And Madam President, and through the chair of the Finance Committee, just two items that, and will be brought up at the June meeting. There was a special meeting of the Finance Committee to talk about the OPEB presentation. That's still being deliberated, so wanted to make sure that the council members know that that's moving forward. And then also at the finance meeting that we had last night, a preliminary budget is being worked on. It was too preliminary to be presented at this meeting, but certainly when we get to a level to share in advance of that, the next finance meeting, we'll make it available for all the committee members to be had. So.
Great. Thank you, Mary. Lee, did you have something you wanted to say? I think you were cut off.
I was just going to be a troublemaker. I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. No need for that. All right. So let's move on to staff reports.
So I did provide for all the committee
Wait a
members.
minute, before we get into that, let's take a vote on the ROM.
We're not going to take the ROM up yet. We're going to take up the ROM nominating at the nominating item.
Okay, all right, okay.
Thank you.
So Mary, if I could suggest too, is in between, I think you have your screen open all the time. So just in between presentations, it might be good to just take the screen off for those who have presentation view on, not gallery.
Oh, okay. Stand by.
Hey, yeah.
Yeah. I really do need like two computers in order to do these virtuals, one here and I can do here. So my apologies for that.
You can do it. You can, Mary, do a dual monitor. That's what I do.
Yeah, so let me do quickly the staff report. There is a combined that was sent out. I will never ever again estimate the work that's being done. You probably can't see this because I didn't share my screen. See, again, just all the work that's been done. I hope you all had a chance to read through it, from economic recovery to the transportation, what the transportation department's doing. There are just so many, but I hope you've had a chance to read it. What I would like are two specific things. I'm bringing it up here. We have Bill McNulty, who is on this. I'm going to run through it for him, but we did a staff review, a survey. I shouldn't say we, Bill did, and he pulled together just to try to get assessment of where people are in terms of feeling the comfortableness of coming back. There was questions about how comfortable and whether a full return pre-COVID versus not. And so here's some average in terms of a comfort level, the scale of 1 to 10, how comfortable are you with capacity limits being lifted? And you can see here's the comfort level in terms of where the staff is. Fully vaccinated staff not wearing a face covering while in the office. 60% said yes, but 40% still said no. So the goal will be comfortable where you are. OCPC has been in some combination of remote and hybrid. Clearly there is, I personally did not answer this because I didn't think it was fair that I answer how well we did, but it was a good feeling. It was a good feeling to hear that at least 60, almost 70% of the staff felt that we did a good job of keeping our office at least we performed well. How has your ability to perform your normal job responsibly been during remote? Again, fully functional is a large portion of that. And then how has your ability to perform your normal job during the remote operations? And, you know, mostly fully functional at home, but challenging with some shared home offices and nearly functional. So, you know, what is your preference opinion toward OCPC operation going forward? 80% that we have a flexible hybrid schedule. And I can at least, you know, again, and here's some of the other meetings and how they should be conducted. And we'll get into that when Dottie speaks a little bit more about reopening. So, you know, my goal really is that we have been functioning, as many of you seen. In fact, we probably even been even more productive because that takes away from travel time. So I want to just thank Bill for his leadership and doing the survey. That's been really helpful. And just really kind of the mindset of where we need to be and having our fingers on the pulse. I will be saying that we will be sending out to all of you. There's the state provided OCPC with some funding to hire an assisted living ombudsman position. They're funding it. We're going to be putting the position out, and so the good news is that the state feels comfortable with the capacity of the AAA and OCPC, and we'll be looking to hire someone over the next month and a half once we're done with the interviews. So that is the combined staff report, Madam President.
Thank you, Mary. As always, everyone's doing great work, and we're all very happy with everything that you're working on. So thank you so much to everyone, and Bill for putting that report together for us. All right, so on to regional clearinghouse reviews.
So as part of the agenda, I'm actually not going to share that. It was part of the agenda. There were two. One was in Plymouth, the Jenny Pond dredging project. And the other is, again, another Plymouth with the release of the house lot from the agricultural preservation restrictions. And Lee, if you have any comments or if you'd like us to make comments, please reach out to myself. Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so now we're on to number 8, the future of OCPC council meetings. And Dottie's taking the lead on this?
She is, for lots of reasons. But go ahead, Dottie usually has her pulse upon with the MMA about where things are.
Hi, everyone. So if you remember back in last March, when the governor gave his executive order, we were looking at 2 weeks of changes. And here we are more than a year later. No one could have ever expected it would go like this. So it's really exciting and also a little bit scary, you know, for some people that the executive orders are going to be changing and the governor will be ending the state of emergency June 15th. And with that comes some questions on how to get out of the things that we've changed and learned to do. So one of these is the open meeting law with regard to being able to do video meetings. Now that most municipalities and businesses have figured out how to do the video meetings, to go back to in-person meetings, they would like, a lot of places would like to have a hybrid to be able to offer both. The way the law states is once the executive order is rescinded, there's no provision for doing video meetings anymore. So the governor has just created some legislation that would extend that, giving communities some time to transition. And a lot of communities, including Easton, are hoping that we'll be able to do something permanent in the future with that. And then also the outdoor dining, the way it was set up is that many communities had it set up that when the executive order to rescind the state of emergency happened, there would be 60 days that the businesses could get permanent permitting or decide what they were going to do. 60 days is really kind of on us right now. So the governor wants to grant the outdoor dining issues until November 29th, 2021. So I know in our town, we've reached out to all the restaurants. We've had some during this period of time that had temporary outdoor dining and encouraged them to go the full permitting process to get the permanent outdoor dining, which a couple of them have, and reached out to the rest of the restaurants to let them know this was coming and help them, you know, get some plan forward, whether they want to continue that or not. So those are the two big highlights.
Thank you, Dottie. And I think many of you who are public officials as well have been getting information, but we'll keep a pulse on that. And obviously with the gentlemen that are in the conference room, this is working for them. It's local and so far this hybrid, but we'll be looking and keeping a track about the possibility. So thank you, Dottie, for the update.
Great. Thank you, Dottie. Okay, so now we are moving on to the nominating committee report. So Frank, would you like to speak on that?
Thank you, Mary. Excuse me for my voice. I do apologize. Yes, the committee met on May 18th in a conference call. And a motion was made by Lee Hartman, and I meant the elder Lee Hartman, but it was a motion that we take both offices for both the regular OCPC and the ROM together, and it was voted yes in unanimity. So we have decided that we are nominating Miss Christine Joy of Plimpton for a 1 year as our president. That passed unanimously. Secretary Chandler Wright of Bridgewater for 2 years. That passed with 3 yeses and an abstention by Sandra. And the treasurer, Mr. Douglas Silvestri of Stoughton, for 3 years as the treasurer. Now, do I hear any other votes from the floor? Hearing none. I'll take a motion to accept the board's recommendation and close nominations.
Eldon, I'll make that motion.
Thank you, Eldon.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Lee. And so it is that our president, again, and she's doing a fantastic job in a terrible time, Christine Joy for 1 year, Sandra Wright, who's doing an excellent job for 2 years, and Douglas Silvestri, who will be treasurer for the next 3 years, and that is both in OCPC and our ROM. And congratulations to all of you.
Well, thank you, Frank, for coming in and doing this. And I hope that you, talk to you a little bit tonight there, but, progressing along. Good luck in the future.
Thanks, Bill.
Madam President, and I think before anybody goes, we have, there was a motion, motion was by Eldon. Who was it seconded by?
Steve.
I second it, Stephen.
Thank you, Steve. And I believe, Madam President, that I think the process will be that a roll call will be needed to support this. And I believe that because Frank has to leave early, we're going to adjourn to go into the ROM meeting so it can be fully adopted by ROM.
Okay, so Mary, would you like to do the roll call vote?
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second to accept the slate of officers as recommended by the nominating committee.
Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Brockton, Duxbury,
Accept.
East Bridgewater,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Kingston,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Plymouth,
Accept.
Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
West Bridgewater,
Accept.
and Whitman.
Accept.
Alden accepts.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you all very much. That's all for the kind words, Frank, and thank you. All right, so I'll make a motion that we briefly adjourn and move into a ROM meeting. So do we have a second?
Lee Hartman, second.
All right, Lee, second. Mary, can we do a quick roll call?
I will. Abington,
Avon.
Avon. This is an accept.
Accept.
Thank you. Duxbury,
Accept.
East Bridgewater,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Kingston,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Plymouth,
Accept.
Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton, West Bridgewater,
Accept.
and Whitman.
Beautiful. Okay,
Alden accepts.
Thank you.
awesome. Okay, all right, Frank, would you like to make your recommendation in ROM? So I'll call the ROM meeting of Old Colony Planning Council May 26th to order. And we've got one order of business, and that is Frank to make a recommendation for the nominating committee.
Yes, Madam Director, as I stated, the nominating committee met, and we have chosen a slate for both OCPC and ROM. The president, Christine Joy of Plymouth, for 1 year, unanimously voted. Secretary Sandra Wright of Bridgewater for 2 years, 3 yeses and an abstention by Sandra, and the treasurer Douglas Silvestri of Stoughton for 3 years, and that was a unanimous decision. So we'd like to put that before the board for the ROM.
All right, are there any other nominations from the floor? All right, if not, I will move that the slate of nominations as the nominating committee recommends. So I'm moving the slate of nominations. Do we have, Frank, do you want to move that the nominations be closed?
I do make a motion, Madam Chairman, that the minutes be closed and the election be closed.
Okay, so we need to take a roll call vote again. Mary?
Abington,
Accept.
Avon,
Accept.
Duxbury,
Accept.
East Bridgewater,
Accept.
Easton,
Accept.
Kingston,
Accept.
Pembroke,
Accept.
Plymouth,
Accept.
Plimpton,
Accept.
Stoughton,
Accept.
West Bridgewater,
Accept.
Whitman. Unanimous.
Alden accepts.
Great. Okay, thank you all. All right, so I'll make a motion that we adjourn the ROM meeting and return to the Old Colony Planning Council to finish business. All right, do we have a second?
Second by Whitman.
Okay, great. All right. All right, so let's move back on to the regular Old Colony Planning Council agenda, and we are at number 11, which is review and consideration of the draft federal fiscal year 2022 Old Colony Planning Council Unified Planning Work Program. And I imagine that's going to be Charlie who's going to be speaking.
Yes, thank you, President Choi. Mary, if you could load up that UPWP
I
summary.
am going to do that right now. Thank you. Did you, Charlie, did you want the summary or did you want the?
The summary, please.
Okay, yeah, right.
So the Old Colony MPO released the draft 2022 Unified Planning Work Program to a public review and comment period. And on your screen before you, we have a quick summary of what's included in that work program. Basically,
Charlie, pardon me for 1 minute. Gentlemen in the conference room, I may have to mute you. Go ahead, Charlie.
Do it.
Right.
I think in favor of that, she should have her own.
Should have her own phone. Right. And that's what I was telling him, was
And we should
our
pay-
projected budget is.
so every year around this time, we bring this document to the Old Colony Planning Council for review and consideration. This program is funded by Federal Highway, Federal Transit, MassDOT, and Brockton Area Transit. It includes 4 main sections, and in sum total, it's about a $1 million program, so it's a substantial share of the Old Colony Planning Council's budget. So on your screen before you, there you can see in section 1000, it's kind of our management and support of the planning process. It includes stuff such as our participation program, our transportation improvement program, Title VI. Element 2 is data reconnaissance, acquisition, and analysis. It's demographics, traffic counting program, our GIS mapping program, and management systems of congestion, pavement, and safety. Moving on to task 3000, it's our short range and long range transportation planning. It includes road safety audits, freight planning, performance-based planning, and element 4000, it's items with regard to transit technical assistance and specific contracts under VAT planning, technical studies. And a note here in the brackets, those are the actual task cost items. And if you could scroll down to the next screen, it's a little small on the screen, but this is a analysis of some of our traffic counts and turning movement counts at intersections by community. And one of the programs that Bill McNulty does on the right-hand side, it's a local technical assistance program. It's a matrix showing number of studies from 2015 through 2020. And you can see, for example, in Brockton, over that time period, we did 145 traffic counts at locations and 80 turning movement counts and 10 local technical assistance studies. So this is kind of a snapshot of just one of the elements of this work program, looking at some of the metrics and the metadata. But that's a quick summary of what this is. Mary did provide you the entire document in advance of this meeting, and it is out for a public review and comment period. And note that in June, on June 15th, I believe, the MPO will be taking up public comments and considering endorsement of said planning work program.
Charlie, do you need a vote for us to endorse this plan?
Yes, please.
Okay, all right. Do we have any questions for Charlie? All right, seeing no hands, hearing no voices, do we have a motion to accept or endorse the federal fiscal year 2022 Old Colony Unified Planning Work Program as presented by Charlie?
Whitman will accept.
Okay,
Motion.
and do we have a second?
Second, Jean Marie.
Okay, second Jean Marie. So we have a motion and a second. So Mary, can we do a roll call vote for acceptance of the plan?
Abington.
Accept.
Avon left. Duxbury.
Accept.
East Bridgewater.
Accept.
Easton.
Accept.
Kingston.
Accept.
Pembroke.
Accept.
Plymouth.
Accept.
Plimpton.
Accept.
Stoughton.
You muted them.
Oh, shoot. Just wave your hand, Doug, that you vote for it. I'm not going to run.
Yeah, there's a hand.
Actually, if you can hit *6 on the phone, that will unmute you. I'm sorry. West Bridgewater.
Accept.
Thank you. And Whitman is Fred Gilmetti's there.
Accept.
And then
And I accept alternate.
Okay. That is unanimous on the vote.
Excellent. Okay. All right. So status of retirement legislation. Did you want to just give a quick update, Mary?
2 seconds will be that we're still continuing to work with MARPA. Right now, that corrective legislation is still there and hasn't been decreased. So we've been in contact with our state legislators.
Okay. Next item, OCPC Council and Staff Retreat.
So the president and I had a quick conversation about this in terms of having a in-person annual meeting, but not have it be so extensive, but have it with staff. That is still being determined. There's different places. If you have a location that you would have in your community that you would like us to hold this, it's a to be determined right now. At first, I thought we were going to do June, but with all of our budgets and everything, we're now trying to play catch up. So I think I'm just looking for some council members to assist staff with pulling this together. So if anybody's interested, please contact me.
Great. Thank you, Mary. All right. Any suggestions for future agenda items? All right. I've got two. This is kind of a self-evident one. We had been kicking around the idea of the consent calendar, consent agenda per Robert's Rules of Order. All of the information that we get and discuss is all provided ahead of time. Everyone has an opportunity to read it. So I would ask that on a future agenda, we discuss that and how it would work and determine if the council feels comfortable with moving to a consent agenda, and then possibly discussing OPEB maybe in July.
If I could, Christine?
Absolutely.
I would recommend that we just do a draft one for the next meeting. And so we could just see how that works. People aren't happy with a consent agenda, so we can just see how that looks and do it as a trial. And if people aren't happy with it, we can just go back to the way we do things. But maybe I don't think it's that complicated. I think we should just show it as a trial run at the next meeting.
Okay, that's a good suggestion. I like that, Lee.
I support that. That's great.
Okay. Great. All right. So let's give that a whirl. We'll do a consent agenda for the June meeting and see how we like it. All right. Excellent suggestion. Anything else for a future meeting agenda item? Okay. All right. We are, our next meeting is going to be June 30th. And we've got no other business tonight. So we did a really nice job moving through a lot of very good information. We were very expedient. And so thank you all so much for that. And so I will make a motion to adjourn and wish everyone a very nice Memorial Day weekend. And that we remember, the true meaning of Memorial Day. So thank you all very much. So motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I second.
All right. Second, Stephen. All right. So good night, everyone. And
Good
we'll
night.
see you in June.